your bad vibes. This life's a state of mind. They talk the talk, but we walk the walk. They tell us that we're wrong, but we stay mellow, mellow. Living this life like rebels, don't give them the time of day. We stay away, yeah, we're pushing through the struggle. But the voices in the shadows, they echo. Everybody stops and stares at what we do, but we stay true. You don't have to understand, 'cause it's my high. So be gone with your bad vibes. This life's a state of mind. But the voices in the shadows, they echo. Everybody stops and stares at what we do, but we stay true. You don't have to understand, 'cause it's mine. So be gone with your bad vibes. This life's a state of mind. There's a feeling in the air tonight. Take a long deep breath of our good vibes. Yeah, we bring nothing short of a good time. So let's ride. We got people to satisfy. But the voices in the shadows, they echo. Everybody stops and stares at what we do, but we stay true. You don't have to understand, 'cause it's my high. So be gone with your bad vibes. This life's a state of mind. They talk the talk, but we walk the walk. They tell us that we're wrong, but we stay mellow, mellow. Living this life like rebels, don't give them the time of day. We stay away, yeah, we're pushing through the struggle. But the voices in the shadows, they echo. Everybody stops and stares at what we do,
All right, we're going live. We're live. Are we live? We're going live. Yeah, we're live. Oh, let's switch camera here. All right. Hi. Looky. It's me, your cousin Nikolai. That's right. I got everything situated right now. Is it good? Okay. That's good. And is that... Yeah, that's 2. Okay. Oh, looky. People are joining us. 4 of you. Snow Terps. Kiki Grows. TF remembers Don Sanchez. Cousins. How are you doing, my friends? I got special announcement to make this morning. That's right. What's going on? It sounds so quiet in here. We need some music. More music in background just for morning. Is that it? It's good levels? All right. If first time tuning in on Instagram, I'm Cousin Nikolai. And I'm simultaneously live streaming to Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. All at once. It's true. Yeah, anyhow, getting warmed up here, guys. Got a special VIP guest about to show up. It's true. I get called last night. And they say, hey, I have so-and-so. Do you want to have him on show? I was like, yeah, sure. And they was like, well, come to studio. I was like, come to studio? I didn't know you were going to come to studio. I thought you meant like jump on, like, But anyhow, he's going to be here in studio, guys. Yeah, you probably don't know, but you will soon. And if you don't, you will. Yeah, that's right. Legendary. No doubt. Your cousin Nikolai is mingling with the legends of cannabis. Indeed, my friends. That's right. It's my friend's band, Rockstead. Cousins, how are you doing, my friends? TF remembers. Don Sanchez, Native Cultivation, Michigan. Smiley's Garden joined. Hello, cousin. Did I send you email, Smiley's, with the winner from the 5K giveaway? He gets a pack of seeds. Did I send you his address? He DM'd me today saying he didn't get some of the things. Anyhow, I'll reach out to you another email. Good morning, Snow Terps. I'm glad you're enjoying your haul, your winnings. The Apocalypse Genetics. Hello, cousins. Mr. Fun Guy 420. Hello, Mr. Big Cloud as well. Oh, hi, guys. Hustle in the box. Mr. Big Cloud, good morning, my friend. I'm going to watch you this morning and trim some outdoor. Oh, you're trimming your outdoor. Trim gym. That's right. All right. That's right. They have those automatic ones now. Like, did you see those, cousin? They have them. They tried to send me one. I don't know. I want to take my time. Hello, Snow Terps. Yes, I greatly appreciate you and your amazing sponsors. Thank you, cousin. The Amy's Tees has joined. Hello, my dear. From the Fang Gang. They're up in the Biodome, guys. How are you doing? That's right. Anyhow, I have big VIP guest about to show up, guys. Impromptu style. I've never met him. That's right. I've only heard about him. You will... Hello? Oh, they're here, guys. Hold on. Stand by. Let me hit behind-scenes cameras. You guys should go to Facebook and YouTube right now. And, let me turn up this microphone, too. They're coming down right now. Stay tuned. Stand by. Whatever. Come on down, guys.
Yeah, he'll be down in just 2 seconds.
Okay. Tell him is he handicapped?
No,
I wish he was here to hear that.
Good, man.
Good. Nice to see you. Come on in real quick.
Yeah.
So they can see you. They can hear you. You're on the microphone right here. Yeah, looky. It's who it is,
everybody.
you guys. Do you remember? It's the Gordy Johncock. God, I'm hunched over. Oh, yeah. It's the Gordy Johncock from Cutting Edge Solutions, guys. But he's not the VIP guest. Come on down there, sir. Watch it. You're not handicapped. There's no reels. Hi, how you doing, cousin?
Cousin Nikolai.
Looky. Looky.
Nikolai.
It's the legend. We're going to be looking right here. There's a lot going on here, cousin. We have behind-the-scenes camera we're on right now. We'll wave.
Okay.
So I go live stream on the phone right here to
Okay.
Instagram, right? So
Okay.
then this feeds, right? Oh shit!
Wow, this is
really good. Hold on. Except I didn't launch this one. Here it is. Come on. The feed's not coming through. There it is. Okay, so this camera feed from Instagram goes into the computer, and I'm running a software program that shows all these cameras. The front camera, right? This tight camera right here. Then I have behind the scenes camera right there. And then I can hit the top down camera and do product reviews. But right now, for our purposes, so I stream it on overlay. So people can go to Instagram and see it like this, like you would traditionally. But then if they go to Facebook and YouTube, they see full production value of studio and all these cameras and switchers. So right now, it's all being broadcast to those 3 platforms, and they get a different viewpoint if they're on Instagram or Facebook, if that's not fucking confusing enough for you.
wow.
Yeah, so this is my Livestream Studio I built during the COVID lockdowns with my cousin, who's in film photography, professional production company, right? And he take everything and bring it in-house because they lock us down. He give up studio, bring everything in here, and build this idea to start this podcast for the sit down, cousin. All right, let me move the game show giveaway. Hold on, I'll get fish for the Cannabis Evangelist Network. We'll be doing here. So that's what it's about. Let me get you situated.
Evangelist
Network. Yeah. Do you like spreading the truth about the healing plant through education and testimonials of the healed?
Well, God gave us the herbs and flowers and grains of the field.
It's true.
Right out of the Bible.
That's what they say, right? Genesis. I forget what we'll have to get the Bible speakers to to elaborate more on that. But that's what's going on. I'll get us up to speed. I'll get you mic'd up here. Thank you, Gordy John Cock, for bringing the legend himself, the Uncle John. This is great. Yeah, okay, let's make it official. We'll go to camera. We're at camera 1 now. So all you have.
Okay.
So what you have here is a program monitor that shows like all the what's going on. You can see all the different cameras I can flip through. So, but for practical purposes, you'll just look right here, straight ahead, right? All right here, I'll get you framed up. And if you took your Instagram or his phone, you could put it into that little tripod thing right there.
Film myself off to the side here.
Well, you could film the behind the scenes. Just leave the tripod where it is. Like leaning, because I have it all perched. If you put your phone right into the camera cage, which on the back of it has a little knob and it slides spring, you're a smart guy. You'll figure it out. I know it. And anyhow, you guys can do whatever cutting edge on your cellular band because I am limited on the Wi-Fi capabilities because I'm running all this. I really need true sponsorships intent to up my bandwidth. Anyhow, let's make it official. Okay, here we are. This is the Cannabis Evangelist Network. I'm your host, Cousin Nikolai. And I'm here with a legend from Cutting Edge Solutions and many other formulations in the nutrient industry, from what I understand, the Uncle John. Okay. Action. It's official. Okay, cousin, welcome to the studio. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I give you lay down. Here, I'll get you all set. I got smoke for us. I'll bring you over here so you can actually hear yourself. It'll be better. It'll be like official. So we'll bring this over here. You'll scoot up closer, and then you can have control to mic. We'll take this one down. We'll go to this one. I'll put on headphones to make sure we're hearing each other. It'll sound so much better for you.
And now I can hear myself?
Yeah, you can come in here and move this around. Yeah, right there.
Can I hear myself now?
Let me turn.
Not through
No, wait,
headphones.
hold on. There you go.
Oh, now I do hear
There
myself.
you go. Okay, there. It's good? Sound better?
Yeah.
Okay.
It sounds like I've smoked a lot of weed since I've been here in Michigan the last week.
Have you? I bet you have.
A lot of really good weed, too, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that because, I have family in the California, and we know that everybody raves about the Humboldt and the West Coast and all that OG flower. And it's good to hear from yourself, a true native, right, of the West Coast state there.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of transmigration over the decades, between Michigan and Northern California. I'd see, because your laws were really severe, and we were outlaws where we were in Mendocino and Humboldt and Trinity counties. So people came out and learned how to grow our style and took our style back here, and also developed a style out here, and developed genetics out here and brought them. There's a big trade. There was definitely a trade line between Michigan and Northern California. I can say this with a lot of truth because I lived there and grew there for so long. But now I've gone from infamous to famous because a governor just signed a document, right? And then suddenly it was legal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It changed everything, and everybody thought it was going to be great. Some of it is still great for some, but not so great for others. I don't want to run off to that topic, the whole legacy caregiver versus the recreational metric and what's going on, especially here in Michigan with the caregivers being allowed to introduce the flower into market at one point and now being squeezed out of the system. But that's kind of what I'm learning as a newbie home grower, coming from old country and just getting here to Cousin's place pre-COVID. And right, the first season we could legally grow, and we have another cousin that was growing, like everybody else, right? Caregiver style, and he had a little bit too many plants, right? And he had to get rid of them. So he suggested, hey, it's legal now. Bring them to your backyard. I'll help you build a fence. We'll do it all proper. Lock it up, right? So I had to tell all my neighbors, right? Our cousin lived here for a number of years, and he had to tell the neighbors, like, we're going to be growing legal cannabis here because 12 plants look kind of funny and they'd smell. So fast forward, one of the neighbors is my Miss K. Maybe you'll see her when we don't mind that. It's my Conair 1850 watt hair dryer that I'm using a pseudo heater for my little seedling clone tent there. And don't worry, it's hooked up, everybody, to an Inkbird temperature controller. So it just doesn't run constantly. It goes on and off at 82 degrees because that's what Gordy Johncock told me to keep everything at, 65% humidity and 82 degrees. And you'll be happy to know, Uncle John, I'm running the cutting edge solutions in the growers 7030 cocoa perlite. And I'm getting a handle on it finally with the louder powder. What's wrong? Oh, you requested. That might help.
We can get our followers on as well.
That's a good idea. Thank you. All right. That's great. So yeah, that's what's going on. But yeah, Miss K is 92. She saw these plants I was bringing in the back with cousin, and she's like, "Those are beautiful shrubs you have there." I said, "Well, Miss K, this is legal cannabis." And I said, "Do you know about legal cannabis?" So you have to mute yourself.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now.
This is great. Technical. I've been through this with a lot of different people. We get this feedback you hear.
Well, from the outside looking in.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. It's almost That's okay. We're learning, and everybody understands the 17 people that are with us on the live currently.
From the outside looking in, watching your show, I always thought, how is he able to do this with just a phone? But now that I'm actually in here and I'm seeing the rest of how you do this, this is not like some home project.
No.
This is a full-on studio.
Yeah.
Which is super cool.
Thank you very much for recognizing it was a labor of love. It was quite a dream for many years for my cousin, and he has shared this with everyone. And, COVID forced us into, the Marines would say, semper fi, adapt and overcome. And so that's what we did, and we brought it in-house. We don't need to rely on anywhere. We can do it all out of here as long as we have Wi-Fi and electricity. But we've been shut down because of power outages, and over the winter, luckily cousin has production company and proper generators, for the film production. And we really need to tie him into the house because we had to run them 3 different times. But I was able to keep the plants going and run one of my live streams with the generators this one time. It wasn't easy, but anyhow, thank you for the recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me just conclude. So Miss K is 92, and she saw these plants, and I asked her, would you like to grow one with me? Oh, no, she say. And then springtime come. A few months later, when I'm starting over again, are you going to grow your plants again this season? I said, of course I am. Do you want to see the babies? So I bring them out, and I said, see the babies? And I said, And oh, this is when she said, "Oh, I had a dream that I grew one of your babies." I said, "Oh, you did? Those dreams are the seeds of dreams are the seeds of reality, Miss K." And I gave her the plant, and we started growing together. This is third season, and I don't know if you know of the Michael Fang of the Gage Green Group. He's a genetic, of the legendary breeder,
Right.
right? Well, I've befriended him as well, and he bestowed upon Miss K and I this legendary grape stomper
Oh
strain of
yeah.
his, right?
Oh
That he's
yeah.
well known for. That he, like you say, bring in the migratory transition from California, himself being from starting out in Oakland, growing and bringing the grape stomper here. So anyhow, I have been taking the grape stomper around the city of Motors here in the Mitten State of the Great Lakes and evangelizing the plant with people. I just rode around with my Segway and my wagon, and people ask questions about it. And yeah, it's been great. I've been really doing things. But anyhow, that's what's going on. And but I really want to segue into why you guys are here, and that's because of our mutual friend, our cannabis cousin, the good guy Gertie Johncock, that I stumble upon at the Hydro Pros, right? Where I'm learning to grow like a pro. And he gave one of his most articulate, well-spoken spiels or whatever about the cutting edge and the growers. And I overheard him, and then I put him on camera. And as you know, that's why you have him under your auspices of the cutting edges. He's very knowledgeable. And because of him, this is why you're here, because he hooked me up with the cutting edge. He pretty much got me growing. He taught me a lot in the beginning and told me to put down those grower books and pick out the plant botany. What do you say? Or all that botany type stuff, the real college level type stuff. But so I'm learning about these things about NPK and all the different at stages you use them, because I've really kind of screwed things up, Uncle John, and I'll just tell you right now, because you're going to see the plants. This is only my third run indoors. I'm not so bad outdoors because you get a good soil, you tea dress it and fight off the powdery mildew here and do a little bit of the trimming. You can make it through okay as a newbie grower outdoors. But indoors is another game. So I accidentally been using the louder powder, and at some point I forgot that my Blue Lab Truncheon pH pin, the pH pin, didn't have the check mark for the pH wasn't calibrated. So I had a pH issue. And at some point, I couldn't get a hold of Gordy because he's so busy with you that I thought I needed to add more CalMag, the plant amp and the mag amp. I started adding the liquid to the louder powder.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
So the louder powder, and we'll talk about this because Gordy says it already has the micro, when you're doing the grow, because I'm in the grow A and grow B here in the first stages, right? And then I go into the bloom. And I think I had been screwing it up from the beginning because I was getting blotchiness, which I've come to find
Right.
out is a calcium magnesium deficiency or something like that,
Or
right?
oversupply even.
Or oversupply, and that's the nutrient lockout, right? And all
Right.
that stuff. So I experienced that again. I caught it in time. I'm running autopot system, which complicates things even more because the water stands in the soils and you have pH rising as you go there. So I've been learning about how to adjust the cutting edge at a low pH in my reservoirs because it, as I say, walk up in pH over the few days. But anyhow, that's what's going on. I'm surviving with my plants. I think they'll turn out okay because I have strong genetics from the Michael Fang. And anyhow, I just want to thank all of you. That's a long, really long, I don't know, dissertation, whatever, to get to where I'm trying to get to with
Well,
you.
well,
That brings everybody and yourself up to speed. How I ended up here with Cutting Edge Solutions, this newbie home grower. So thank you very much, and you guys can share with me how it's going with this new louder powder and why you guys came up with it versus the liquid amendments. I don't know, something like that. That's how.
yeah. So going back to where we started, Gordy is from northern Michigan, and he came out to California to Humboldt County for 10 years, and so he refined his skills growing and also with autoflower because he knew he was going to go back to northern Michigan at some point and autoflower would be key to having some really good quality. So, and you mentioned Michael Fang, and he was, of course, in Oakland, and now he's here. So there's a lot of people here from California. There's a lot of people from Michigan that came to California, learned it, and then rode the trade winds back to, to here. And I just spent a week just cruising around and re-meeting a lot of these people and meeting people who have the similar experience. But when you ask about, why I made louder powder, so I did it because I wanted something really easy to use. So the 3-part, the grow, bloom, and micro, easy to use, but still shipping water, and also you have to mix 3 things.
Mm.
So I decided to turn it into louder powder, which is all the same inputs as the 3-part, the grow, bloom, and micro, minus the water. So when you use louder powder, it's grow A and B, and then bloom A and B. So if you use it at a basic formula, and on the bags, there's a QR code that shows you how to do this and explains all these things. But the louder powder A, you use 1 pound to 100 gallons. Stir it up. 1 pound of B to 100 gallons. Stir it up. And then you're ready to feed. Or you could use 1 pound per gallon in a bucket. In a separate bucket, 1 pound of B per gallon, stir it up, drop in the pickup tubes for a doser, turn the doser to 1 to 100 or 1%, done. And then you can concentrate on growing the plant instead of trying to figure out how to mix fertilizers. So I figured that out, and we have a gas recipe where you drop in the bloom stage, which you do the same as the grow stage. But in the bloom stage for the gas formula, you would drop the A 1 gram and increase the B 1 gram, and then mix those the same way in separate buckets. And you would keep the doser on the same setting and run it that way. So a lot of people say, well, I don't need that much. I don't have a facility. Or they say even 100 gallons is too much to mix up. It won't grow mold. It'll sit there in a reservoir with a cover over it for weeks. Maybe you would use 100 gallons, but if not, you would do the same thing of mix up A in a separate gallon and B in a separate gallon, and then you could use 40 mils of each and make up a gallon of liquid and then use that, because you've basically used the same amount of A and B. At 38 to 40 mils per gallon, that's 1 to 100.
Do you hear this, guys? This is all the commercial speak. This is for the big boys, no doubt. And with the dosatrons, I know of what you speak of a little bit. But yeah, but it can be as simple as, like, let's take it down to simple terms, like with cousin Nikolai. I have 5 gallons in my seedlings. I start with 5 gallons. So on the package, it's real simple: 4.54 ounces per gallon of water. This is what
grams.
Did I say ounces?
Yeah.
Yes, grams. Yes, grams. Good thing we're not dealing with cocaine. Just kidding. Anyhow, and I'd really screw things up, lose my life or something. Anyhow, so 4.54 grams per gallon of water, and I mix up for 5 gallons, and then I have a reservoir that's 12.5. So I just do the math, and yeah, you're right about it lasting a long time. I only go in there and check pH every day, because the pH does rise in the reservoirs naturally. Sometimes it doesn't. It seems like when the chemistry ages a little bit more, by the second or third day is when I get more of a pH jump in it. That's what I've noticed.
It goes up?
It does go up. And because I am, anyhow, I mix it up, and I only have to pH down just a little bit. Like 10 milliliters for 12 gallons. It's that slight. So with the water I'm using. But it's pretty simple until I screwed up my pH pin, and didn't have it calibrated and had the pH off. So that's when I really started suffering issues. And then I thought I'd get smart and add the liquids to the
Oh
louder
no.
powder. So I just complicated and exasperated because I gave a little bit too much of everything. And anyhow, so the last 2 weeks, I think I've got things back on track, and you'll have to see them in the green light because I go dark during the day and turn them on at 8 p.m. So everything comes on. But I've been real happy with the simplicity of the mixing of that with the louder powder, because I did use all the liquids for one run prior to it, and that was a little bit more of a chore. It wasn't too hard, but first starting out, I was a little bit overwhelmed. It was the first time growing indoors. There's so many things to look after, and then you got to come, mix nutrients, and you've got all these little different. And I didn't have the proper measuring devices the very first time, so I was doing it with a shitty shot glass, right? And so I took Gordy's advice and got some scientific type whatever measurement.
Graduated cylinder.
Yeah,
that
thank you.
You
That's
can
what
read.
yeah.
Oh,
and
that's
ju-
10 mils.
Because we learned about meniscus.
Yes, we learned about the meniscus. Not the meniscus in your knee, the other meniscus, right?
Cousin meniscus.
Yeah, cousin meniscus. But anyhow, let me jump back for the people that don't know. This is Uncle John from Cutting Edge Solutions, and so let's go back and to the history of how you got your start. I think that would be a good thing to, and then by that you'll have talked yourself out, and then I can show you the outdoor grow. And but anyhow, like, I know a lot of people don't know really your backstory. Gordy has shared with me really just how influential you were to a lot of the. I won't make mention of some of the other brands that are known here in the industry that you helped formulate some of these things for. A couple of them or something back in the day. Like, you are responsible for leading the charge with some of this things they call, I guess, liquid nutrients, if I'm speaking correctly.
Or
But
biologicals too, and how
there,
biologicals work with nutrients. But,
yeah,
it all started out, I did it for love, you know, and it wasn't love of growing, because at 14 years old, I wasn't growing yet, but it seemed like a good place to run away and go to Mendocino County and start growing. Of course, I worked for growers, but I did it for love because my girlfriend was 16 and I was 14. And, if you can remember what that's like, it's there. The competition boys are getting cars because they're getting driver's licenses, and you have a bicycle. So you have to find something that she really loves, and she really loved weed, and it was called weed. That was the name of all. It superseded all the names. You know,
and we're talking 74,
1978.
78.
So 1978, I decided, I'm going to risk my life on Telegraph Avenue to buy weed. And then,
Telegraph Avenue,
yeah,
like out there in the West.
yeah, it goes, I grew up in Berkeley. So
Oh, okay. Oh,
Berkeley,
yeah, Telegraph on Berkeley. We have a Telegraph here in Michigan too. But
where,
yeah, right over. It's one of Woodward was the first highway in America. They say it goes from Detroit up to the burbs, and Telegraph parallels. Sorry to throw you off, Telegraph. But yeah, Telegraph, the
well,
legendary Berkeley.
all these telegraph roads connected
Right.
because they were there because of the telegraph line.
Good.
And,
Right.
that
Yes.
was the early coconut wireless, right?
Yes. Hold on 1 second, Gordy. If you stay closer to the steps, I think you might get a signal.
Yeah, I was just say it was working really well, and then it stopped.
Yeah, like that's why I put that tripod right there, because I know that Amos Tees from when Fang comes over, she huddles down there by the steps and tries to get us. I really need that sponsorship and to up my Wi-Fi levels. It tells me when I run this program, you need 9.8 megabits per second, and then I tried to add another thing. It's like, well. Anyhow, so you were talking about Telegraph in Berkeley and your girlfriend that loved the weed, and you had to
Supply it.
right. You had to get going on it. Yeah.
And finally, one of the dealers told me that it came from Mendocino County. And in 1978, it wasn't really in the newspapers yet. So I decided that's where I'm going to go, and I'm going to learn how to grow weed. And and I'll have her.
You got to mute
You got to
again.
mute
Yeah, more.
Yeah.
This is what
Bear with
happens-
us, cousins. Thank you very much for all of you that are there. We're getting questions, but I'll keep letting you talk.
I think this is what happens when semi-technical people are allowed in the studio.
It's it's part of it all. In an ideal world, I'd have I'd have that Elon Musk Wi-Fi, and everything
The
would be great.
Starlink.
Yeah, we'd all be connected and just be real time in the Matrix. Anyhow, go on, Uncle John. Let's not try to interrupt you anymore.
Oh,
Anyhow,
it's okay. It's
yeah.
been a life of good interruptions.
Well, they're good stories.
They were-
Anyhow,
Yeah, so I went up north, and I worked for. I thought I was going to work for hippies, and instead I ended up staying at a gate, and that gate happened to belong to a Vietnam vet who didn't want to return to society and didn't like the idea that some kid was at his gate, and he was going to kill me, but he went to town and came back and had an epiphany. He thought since I was going to rip him off anyway, he might as well bring me in and have me dig holes till I'm almost dead, and then kill me, and then that would fertilize the plant.
really,
Yeah,
this is his thinking.
yeah, well,
Like another person here to come learn how to grow and steal my stuff, or how did you end up at this gate? I'm just curious. Like, why? Just randomly, or you knew about this guy?
No, I knew where Mendocino County was because I got a paper map, and
Okay.
then the maps were paper back then.
Got you.
They
Of
weren't on
course.
screen.
Right.
And and I plotted my attack, let's say, by plotting this map, getting a tent and a sleeping bag and cans of tuna. You have to survive, right? The
Right.
basic things. And then hitchhiked up, and then went all the way up to a remote dirt road, and went up that dirt road, and there was a gate, and I figured the hippies would come out, and they would want to.
14 again. He's 14, so naive and think it's so simple. So simple in your mind how plans. Go ahead.
Well, in Berkeley, you see lots of hippies, and some
Sure.
of the hippies come from all over the place. And I thought, wow, they're moving up to the country. I'm going to see them up there. And I figured at worst it would be like Hare Krishnas or something, right? But wearing orange robes and chanting Hare Krishna. Well, but no, it was a Vietnam vet, and he had a total different plan than I had. So, I had to learn how to do it.
So he brought you in to his farm and to use you as a laborer, slave labor, so to speak.
To dig holes. And, that meant, digging into the soil, getting down to rock, breaking up the rock, pulling the rock out, putting in chicken shit and whatever kind of mix, and then amending it. And, that was very labor intensive for a Berkeley kid.
Wow. That's how they did it back then. They were doing building their living soils, so to speak, or building a soil at base in these holes here.
Or just getting a kid like me and then killing me and laying me in the back of the...
It truly goes back to that.
That wouldn't be living. That would be dead, right?
Right.
So, but they didn't call them dead soils back then. Maybe that's how living soils got its name.
Yeah, you made it out alive.
You took a living person and then you put them in the soil.
I imagine there are. Well, yeah, there's lots of stories here in the city of Motors and that too, especially around the Hoffa. They got all kinds. He's in cement somewhere. Anyhow, well, so take me through. You made it through that trial and tribulation, and at what point did you get into formulating nutrients and make it a business?
Well, the business kind of just happened on its own, but formulating started that first week that I was out there, because, you have to compete with guys that are like 18 to 26. I tell this story now and I look at a 14-year-old kid and I just don't even believe what I'm saying.
It's hard to picture at 14 that you're taking off like an adult and going somewhere. This was during the summer. You just take during the summer.
I ran away from home and never returned.
Oh, okay.
But and I don't recommend that to anybody that's out there watching that might be 14. But
you're not supposed to be watching. You're supposed to be 21 years and older and already an adult making good decisions. Hopefully.
Yeah. But the opportunities are different now, and whatever you're passionate about, you should easily work that hard at. And so, yeah, breaking rock right away, I realized I couldn't keep up with everybody else. I didn't want to get killed. So I thought, okay, well, what do I know from gardening at the family home? And I'm like, oh, so roots grow out, and as above, so below. So if you want to get more branching, you want to have wider holes. So I convinced the guy that that's how plants worked, and offered to he had some other larger plants already going, and he offered to have me wash off all the roots, and then if I was wrong, he was going to kill me. This was like after everything every communication with this guy was, if you're wrong, I'm going to kill you. So I'm not going to keep saying that over and over again. Just imagine.
I think he was just saying that just to play with you, right?
Yeah,
to keep you motivated.
Right, but he always traveled with an AR-15 in the gun rack, a shotgun, and he always wore a 45. So he had the capacity. I mean, he was a man. He could have killed me, but maybe he didn't want to touch me. So he just wanted to lay me down.
Yeah.
But so yeah, he saw that the roots went out, and they kind of followed the drip line of the branches, and I kind of half made things up. But I had been reading organic gardening for years. That was my book that I read, and so then I explained to him that breaking all this rock was not a good idea. A couple cracks on the rock, maybe, so roots can go through, but take out a few rocks, build a ledge in the front, and pull down the soil and have wider holes. And the next thing I had to convince him of was that I was 18, because California back then had paper driver's licenses. And my girlfriend, who I was trying to keep at the time, was an artist. So you can imagine you can combine those two and get an ID. So, I convinced him that I could stay there, that I could work, that he needed a flower sifter so that I could weigh out all the amendments that he was putting in. And so I really knew exactly what he wanted. But that wasn't really my plan. With the flower sifter, I was able to put on a fraction of the amount of amendments that he was using. And by doing that and stirring it in, so it would bond to the soil, and by stirring it in, the holes were perfect seed beds and perfect for the plant. So in the end, my plants actually were the best plants. But one thing I'll tell you that I've seen a lot here just in Michigan, we talked about the trade winds and the passing of genetics back and forth. A lot of people will look at a petiole, here's the leaf, and then this would be the petiole attached to the branch. And you'll notice the top of the petiole will start turning purple. It'll continue turning purple slowly, but if you turn the leaf over, the bottom is green. So that plant needs more magnesium. Magnesium hogs were created during this period of time when people were told that they were going to be killed if they didn't put in enough dolomitic lime. Dolomitic lime was super popular on the West Coast. Dolomitic lime is 12 to 14% calcium, and people are trying to adjust the pH. And it's 52% magnesium. So you see what they did? There was no such thing as clones. They were breeding for high magnesium soil. So now you've got these genetics that have come from way back when, and they've been hybridized, but they still have this characteristic of wanting more magnesium. So if you get one of these plants and you see the top of the petiole turning purple, you can foliar spray with our organic biochelated magnesium Magamp. And then that purple, it won't go away, but you'll see all the new growth will be green.
I have seen what you have been talking about. I have learned, that different types of the coloring is stress in the plant or lacking something, but specifically what you mentioned you say the petal?
Yeah, the petiole.
Yeah, right. The petiole. I forget it's called that.
Yeah,
right.
The leaf,
Yep.
is
I see it
held
on
on by
top
the
and
bit.
underneath is fine. I've been looking at that when I'm checking for aphids and things like that. But yeah, that's interesting. And yeah, so I have been using everything this last time. I've
Oh
been
no!
spraying everything. But yeah, I'm lucky I didn't fry it. But yeah, Gordy's going to give me another lesson, calm me back down. Yeah, but I have been using your uncle. So go on. I don't get off. Don't let me talk. I'll get us all screwed up and start talking in circles.
No,
Because
you're
I like your Uncle John's, and we'll get to that. But go on with your story. So you've
yeah. So
survived this far, teaching him that the roots spread out, and you're growing most excellent plants now.
right, the roots spread out, and he sees the plants doing better, and he's bought me a flower sifter. Do you know what a flower sifter
I
is?
do.
Yeah, and so you put in flour, you pull this handle, and then you see the dust of the flour come off. And
Right.
if there's any larger particles, from the flour, it won't go into the mix. So he got me that. He let me use the scale to weigh out all the different amendments. Earthright seed was popular at that time from New Jersey, and you know, rock dusts and all these different bone meal, all these different things. So, I weighed out all these different things, including the dolomitic lime, which is super heavy, and you would be requested to put 3 shovelfuls in a hole that was 2 feet across, 3 feet, 3.5 feet wide, and then as deep as you can dig in that one spot, which was usually about 2.5 feet. That is excessive amounts of dolomitic lime, so excessive amounts of magnesium, and that's what these plants were being bred on.
Mm.
So, but what I did is from reading organic gardening, knew that this was not the way to fertilize. And I just, on my own, since it seemed like I was reminded every day I was going to get killed anyway, I figured at least I would do a decent experiment. And I weighed everything out, like Earthright C weighed 10 ounces. And so I would use, you know, 5 ounces of that. So I used very little fertilizer and very little dolomitic lime, and used the flour sifter to apply each one at a time. And it took me less time. I was doing more holes than the older guys because I wasn't breaking rock. I
Mm.
was just chipping up a little bit and pulling it forward for a raised bed. And then my plants started to grow faster, stronger, bigger stems. More branching was important at that time, more branching, so you could see that you would have more tops. And so then eventually I told him what I was doing, because he was only going to figure out that I wasn't using enough fertilizer anyway. And I didn't want to get killed before I, made the explanation. But yeah, it was different back then. Getting fired actually meant you were fired upon.
Yeah, especially up there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They nicknamed it Murder Mountain. Maybe not that part of Humboldt or Mendo you were in, but yeah, the renegades everywhere in the back country, especially in Alaska. Anyhow, there I go again, getting twisted. I was
We
watching this.
can't go all the way to Alaska
No,
yet.
no, not yet. But yeah, so you make it out of there, and at what point does Cutting Edge be born?
Right. So then, growing for many years, always growing organically, getting all the way up to the mid 90s, and the helicopters got a lot lower. And there were helicopters,
You're still up there growing in Mendo.
Mendo, and then now I'm in Humboldt.
Yeah, okay.
And growing in Humboldt, there was a larger, younger population because of Humboldt State, which is now called Cal Poly Humboldt. And you had a large population of students that could come out and work during planting or during a step in the indoor that you needed people to do things, and especially trimming. Trimming became a huge thing.
Oh, I bet.
I mean, truthfully, there's many times in my life I've been wrong. I worked for this guy, Doug Pearson, on Bell Springs Road, and most of the people that I knew, they're gone. I mean, you're 14, they're in their 40s. They're just not around. But Doug, he and his wife had me cut the leaves off of the flowers. And I thought that was stupid and that would never catch on. That's how wrong I was. It took me a whole entire day to trim a pound so that I could get paid. And I said, I will never do this again. This will never catch on. If you ever hear me say never, it's usually going to be the next thing I do, or I'm going to regret it the whole time I'm forced to do it.
It's part of humanity. Never say never. That's why that old adage has come in.
Never say never.
Never say never. No, I can tell you so many times, but yeah, go on.
Yeah. So, but you what you're really asking me is, how did Cutting Edge come about? So, we're going to go indoors, and I knew that you had to grow hydroponically because I read that in a book, which is why books can always be wrong. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to have to use this one product that's really popular, this one company. And I did, but it had phaeoacremonium in it, which is a fungi that forms a pinkidium, which is like a pool rack. And then those pool balls are the spores, and they're very small. So when a root touches it, it breaks the rack, but instead of spreading out, they all get sucked up into the root. So they clog the root.
Oh.
And then they clog the phloem and xylem, the transpiration channels of the plant. And so when it needs iron, it doesn't get it. So then it goes iron deficient. And then you foliar with iron, and then the tips turn down because it needs zinc. And you foliar with zinc. Pretty soon, you're trying to foliar with all these different things. And you can't grow like that, especially on any kind of scale. And we were on a very large scale at that point. So, the people that worked in the double wide didn't want to work there because they said, we don't want to be part of this plant breeding operation. We're mixing the fertilizer correctly, but, all the results are wrong. But what I found out was the actual fertilizer had phaeoacremonium in it. And, when you're out in grape country, you can see this. You look up in a vineyard and you see what looks like why did they plant a Japanese maple out there that's turning colors? It's because it's going through all its deficiencies because it has phaeoacremonium. And they'll rip that plant out and they'll try to dig out some of the soil, but eventually they'll end up taking out that whole vineyard and then doing cover cropping for a couple of years before they replant. So phaeoacremonium is a problem in the vineyards, which can easily be a problem of spores that can happen into liquid fertilizer. So I knew this is not rocket science. I talked to the company. They weren't interested in changing anything. And so that's what started Cutting Edge is, I was already studying microbiology, and I already had a small lab, and I took my plates to a professor at the time at HSU who correctly identified it after I thought that I identified it right. He confirmed that, showed it to the company. They didn't want to change, and I said, that's crazy. And they just said that they sold their fertilizer to the Midwest and Northeast when this happened. This swirling happened because they really don't know how to grow. And that kind of infuriated me because, it's not that we're against each other, but that we compete with each other. We get Trainwreck, you get Dark Star, then Massachusetts Super Skunk comes out. It's the competition that it's just racing. It's just sports, right?
Right.
We just keep it going. Like, who can come out with the next best thing, and how are they growing it? And you share all that information too. But that's what keeps it interesting for the growers, and that's what keeps it really interesting for the consumers. Because they really want to know what the next thing is. So, you know, that's kind of what started Cutting Edge. And, you know, I just started making my own fertilizers, but then so many people wanted them at my farm, it just got out of control. And at the time, at that key moment, you know, my girlfriend, not the same one. They're actually, being an outlaw means, you know, you're kind of going through girlfriends because
Well, you're young in that day and age.
right, and
Yeah,
you're also kind of living on the edge,
sure.
maybe even the cutting edge, right?
Right. Yeah, especially back then.
So
Yeah, definitely.
so yeah, you know, just laying in bed, and then somebody else has flashing their headlights that you can see from our window all the way a quarter mile away down the farm at the gate. And she's like, "Are you going to get out of bed and go and bring these guys to the barn and come back in 2 hours? I'm going to be asleep." And the way she said it, I knew that that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to so that was it. I just said, this is crazy. It's only a matter of time before I get caught selling this fertilizer. I'm getting to the level of bringing in semi trucks of inputs. So,
And you're not supposed to be selling fertilizer illegally either.
no. And of course, you know, the county, you tell the county, you know, I want to start a business and I bought this property and I have 10 acres and they're like, okay, well, I think we can start the permit process and it'll only take 18 months. I'm like, that's 2 seasons. That's not happening, you know? So, you know, then I moved to the Santa Rosa area. And, you know, that's when I started Cutting Edge. I think we started in 1998, 1999. And then in 2001, I actually took out a business license and in January. And so that's how long we've been in business. But one of the things that I wanted to do was focus on terpenes. And to do that, I needed to, I needed to know what terpenes were. And, you know, I started doing that in 1983 when I found a lab that would do testing for a hefty donation and on the leaves. And they told me how they wanted the leaves delivered to them. But they had a GCMS, you know, they had an HPLC. And I didn't have that. I mean, they wouldn't even, you're a kid. What are you going to show up with cash at Agilent and say, yeah, so, you know, I can afford a $68,000 GCMS.
These are testing machines or something?
Yeah, a gas chromatograph, mass spec, and a high pressure liquid chromatograph. So that's when you send in samples to a lab here, they're using a GCMS to test for pesticides and a few other things. Because they have the standards to compare in this machine whether you have these pesticides. They don't test for every single one, of course. And then the HPLC, there's a way to set it up to test for terpenes and cannabinoids. So that's where you get your cannabinoid test from to, you know, tell you how high THC is.
I see.
And so, you know, I started collecting data in 1983 on what's in the soil and what's in the leaf to try to figure out how to formulate these, you know, organically, what I wanted to do. And, you know, with the help of law enforcement, because by then they started flying more planes, Ronald Reagan was president.
He liked jelly beans.
And not the strange jelly bean either.
Not the edibles.
No, he wanted he had a different plan than we did.
Yeah, him and Nancy.
Oh God, the war on drugs.
Yes, it started with them.
Yeah,
I remember.
You know, with you know, it was her daughter. What was her name? Patty.
She died, right? OD'd.
Well, no, it wasn't that.
No?
It was worse than that.
Oh.
She went to live with Don Frey from the Eagles. Oh. Not only was he a rock star, but he smoked marijuana. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, he probably did LSD too.
Oh my God. Well, he's dead now, so you know, if you're out there, just realize that when you die, we'll say things about you on the show.
Well, people talk. If you're if you're of interest, I guess, to people. But yeah, so Don Frey and yeah, so anyhow, so yeah, the war on drugs. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's
Back
get
to
out of there
yeah,
right
we don't want to
away.
go talking about them, but yeah, so you Cutting Edge was born then and evolved, and so we're in the mid 2000s now, and it's still not legal, right?
Oh, right.
California is starting to talk about medical when in 2006 or 8 were they starting to try to get the laws passed? Can't remember when did I go there and start seeing dispos.
Yeah, I mean, like you, I really don't pay attention to the laws.
Right, it didn't matter. I was never getting it in a dispo. I still have not bought from dispo.
Yes, you know, sometimes your truck slides off the road in the mud, you get a dent, you go to a body shop, you know, you run into the laws and you go to your lawyer and they fix the things.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'm not a vicious person, you know, I just smoke weed.
Yeah, right.
And so, you know,
So
why are all these laws put in my way?
yeah, bureaucracy. It's so they can make money. Yeah, right.
Right.
And give it elsewhere. Anyhow, so you're now where are we now in the story? You were you were just you just for you were thinking to yourself, I can't keep doing this illegal. Running a business on your property with
Right.
mixing fertilizers.
Right.
So go on.
So then, yeah, right. Moving to Santa Rosa into a warehouse was the right idea.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, now I have a business license. Now I can do this. And, you know, now I get to go through all the labeling laws. And, but I get to sell fertilizer. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. I thought, you know, I could sell different fertilizer and biologicals. By this point, you know, I had been researching making hum tea, and hum tea is our biological tea with 10 important bacteria, a few fungi, and 22 different protozoa. And and surrounded by like tens of thousands of beneficial organisms from the earthworm castings we make. So I felt like, okay, you know, I'll be able to sell all these things, and it got really complicated, and I don't want to go into all the regulatory issues
Right,
of everything that blocks you from doing anything. But you know, we managed to get through those, and so we had this, you know, this biological tea. We had a 3-part fertilizer that worked together, and if you use the tea, you could cut the fertilizer use by 30%. So some people are really good growers and they can use hum tea and cut their fertilizer use by 50% and cut their water by a minimum of 30%. So,
wow.
yeah, so cutting water. And that led to, you know, also running a lot of trials with Afghani strains where you barely had to water at all. So you actually had to step up the fertilizer, but water way less. And so the whole water requirement that the state of California or other states have come up with is ridiculous, you know, as far as using water and having runoff, and I don't know, you know, where they got their information from. They must have gone to an indoor grow where they had a leak in their system, and they used 75,000 gallons in the leak and 12,000 gallons on the grow. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of misinformation in every direction, and you know, maybe a podcast like this helps. And so, but you know, I'm basically just telling my story about why I started cutting it, why I started growing, how I progressed in growing, then of course needing to grow indoors and thinking I needed to use these type of fertilizers, realizing that without the microbiology, the chemistry isn't as available. And going from that point and then coming up with biochelated micronutrients and secondary nutrients to the point now where we have a product that we've sold commercially to farms because we don't have to go through the labeling registration for putting it on a shelf, and it's called the Ascent line. So it's the Ascent Organic Grow and the Ascent Organic Bloom, and it's non-GMO corn, non-GMO soy, biofermented, and then biochelated secondary and micronutrients. And people that have used it said it's as good as our mineral line, which to me is a total victory because it's taken me 18 years to figure out how to make an organic fertilizer line that has no animal products and no fish byproducts or anything like that.
So is it vegan then? Would it be?
Yeah, I don't call it vegan, but it is. I mean, it's all plant-based.
Wow. Well, I know that a lot of organic growers now are trying to differentiate in there too. The vegan, they don't want the blood meal or the bone with that stuff, right? Anything from the animals, right? Yeah. So this is wait. Did I just get an exclusive? I like you're telling your story, and all of a sudden you're talking, huh?
Plus, it's drip friendly.
Drip friendly.
Oh, yeah.
So we're talking about this. I was going to ask before you came on if we could talk about it. Is this an exclusive you're announcing? Have you already announced it? I haven't seen on the Instagram. Gordy has made mention of this thing.
Right. Well,
should we say it or should we just keep letting it go because you didn't announce it yet?
I mean, this is my third podcast.
And you've talked about it.
You
Right.
know, I've never.
And you've talked about it, right?
No,
No, you haven't?
no.
Oh, so we're keeping it a secret? You know what I'm alluding to, right, Gordy? Right.
You know, it's to some people, it's not. Well, look at our marketing.
Well, what I mean, you haven't brought it out yet, what you're talking about.
We have no marketing.
Well, I guess this is your marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gordy's the.
All right. So,
he's the Michigan
so I can help
marketing.
you market it right now?
Well, you have to use it first.
Right. Well,
But-
I got to see it too, right?
But
So-
you'll realize it's.
It's dry too. So we're
Dry.
talking.
It's a dry format as well, so it's not even a thick liquid.
See that? Okay. Well, then let's just tell them you're coming out with an organic line.
Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah. Well, I guess I already came out with an organic.
Right. You've already
line.
come out with the line. I haven't
And-
seen it yet.
And people, you know, that's because large farms have used it.
Okay.
It's so for you here in Michigan, it's NOFA certified, Northeast Organic Farmers Association, because farmers use it, and they're using it to grow cannabis and hemp, but you have to have organic inputs to grow those if you have an organic farm certification to grow vegetables. So, you know, a lot of, you say, for instance, in New York, farms in New York that we sell to, they have to show that it's organic certified, NOFA certified, because maybe they have 15 or 20 acres of vegetables, and that's been their income, but in order to sustain what they're doing, they need to grow some hemp and some cannabis too. And you know, the cannabis issue in New York is another story, but you can grow hemp and then sell CBD flower. And so if you have an organic CBD flower that has a good nose on it, it has those terpenes, then you are in a situation where, you know, you've got sales. So you've got, you know, you're always looking to, you know, offset all these costs you have as a farmer. And, you know, part of that is diversity of crops.
I see.
And so the organic line has the same formulation sort of as the mineral line. You use, instead of using 454 grams per gallon, you would use 850 grams per gallon, and you stir it overnight. Then in the morning you stir it again, you drop in the pickup tube, you turn it to 1 to 100 or 1%, and it runs through a drip system and it runs through drippers. So it's really ease of use and clean, and you won't get any contamination like salmonella, listeria.
What kind of, like, how does it mix up? Like, how many parts?
850 grams.
It's just one powder?
Yeah.
Just one single powder bag?
Yeah. Goes, well, it actually, we've been selling it in 20 and 40 pound bags because we're waiting for our registration in Michigan and a couple other
That's
states.
why we couldn't say anything, because you're
And
still waiting.
Yeah. Well, no, you can. I mean, organic farmers that want to use it can buy it in 20 and 40-pound bags.
Oh, okay.
And that's ag allowed. But when you get down to a small amount and you put it on a retail shelf, that's when you need a label.
Oh,
And
okay.
so we're not there yet. So it's already a proven product, but states don't really have anything else like this. You talk about biofermentation and biochelation, and they start like losing focus of whatever this product is. But the one thing you can say about it is it has no pathogens and it has no human pathogens. And they can test for that and they can go, they're just going to put it in soil, which we don't even know what soil it is or how contaminated that could be. So, they kind of just, you have to have good communication with the ag departments in the government in all 50 states in order to be able to.
Man, what a chore that must be. So like running a business and like doing it properly is so challenging, and the bureaucracy of it all. That's why you need a team, and there's always a lawyer to read through the paperwork, and it's so much. So how far along before how much longer before it will be on retail shelves before I can get some myself and tell everybody to go down to Hydro Pros and get some of this new organic line? And what will it be called?
Well, it's the Ascent line.
Oh, you said that. Ascent line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we already have the labels, but are they the official labels approved by all 50 states? Not yet.
Not yet.
So I'll give you an example. So in California, Louder Powder has all the same inputs as from the same vendors we've been doing business with for 25 years. And I took the water out. So when I supplied the lab reports and I supplied the label, it took California 2 years to approve it. When I took the same information and gave it to the ODA, which is the Oregon Department of Ag, I really wish that I would have submitted it at 8 o'clock in the morning and not 11:30, because I could have gotten it approved in one day. They have a chemist. They looked at it. Their first question is, you remove the water. It's all the same inputs. And when you do the math, it's just water removal. The answer to that is yes. Then they said, according to your recommendations to use it on your label, it's used in the correct ratio for a dry formula. And it matches your liquid formula for your 3-part. This is really the 3-part. And the answer to that is yes. And they said, this is the 3-part without water. And the answer to that is yes. Stamp.
It didn't happen like that for you, or it did?
It happened just like that. That's what happens when you put scientists,
I see,
instead of bureaucrats,
yeah,
in positions. And I don't know what happened in California, but it just spun around. Oh, well, that should have been a comma and not a period.
Yeah, right.
Like little things like that cost you 90 days.
California seems to, like, that's well known that everything's a real mess there with their bureaucracy. And just look at their tax rate just for their state sales tax on everything. Jeez, oh, Pete's.
So I moved the whole company and all the employees to Oregon.
Ah, good move.
Yeah, so now even though it says on the label, because we haven't been able to really switch that out yet till next year, that we're in Santa Rosa, California, we're actually Cutting Edge Solutions International, and we're in White City, Oregon, which is across from Medford.
Okay.
So, now we're registered in Colombia and Mexico, and we sell there. And that actually took less time than California.
Really?
To form the company.
Yeah.
So there's Cutting Edge Solutions SAS, which is an independent company of Cutting Edge Solutions. So it's not a foreign company. It's actually a Colombian company.
Interesting. I hear you're in Japan too.
You know,
Some of it.
people take our products and ship them to South Africa, Sierra Leone, Thailand, all over the place. And, you know, once it leaves our warehouse and goes to somebody else's warehouse, I have no idea where it's going.
Sure.
We just get phone calls or, you know, information back on, well, how do you use this product? And that's where they are. So, but, you know, we try to follow all the state and country registrations everywhere that we do go. But it's complicated. You know, it's global. The cannabis industry is global, and so is the hemp industry. And one thing people are interested in now are terpenes.
Mm.
You know, I work for. We created a custom formula for one company in Yakima, Washington, where I was just before I came here, and it's called VUCA, VUCA, and Jeremy Plum heads that up, and he has a company in Hillsboro, Oregon called True Terpenes. So he's really interested in terpenes. That's the product that they sell. And then a secondary product is CBD or CBG, and they also sell that. But selling terpenes is their key business. So he used our product for many years, and now he's got 65 acres of something like 28 varieties of hemp by as many as 14 different hemp plant breeders, to find out what is working best on the 65 acres. So he knows that all our products, the organic line and everything, are formulated to drive terpenes, to bring out the genetic potential in the plant of terpenes.
Is that going back to your the original line? Is that where the Uncle John's? I know that is a lot of people. Like when I tell them I've been growing with Cutting Edge, they make a reference to your Uncle John's. Everybody seems to be using that, and they also make mention of your sugary and sour D. That those are great sugars to help enhance the terpenes, right? And the profiles of the plant. Yeah, talk a little bit about the Uncle John's and how that came about. That's it's the manganese. What is it got in it? Manganese, mangalista. That's Dave Morgan's hogs. I get that mixed up. Heritage hogs. Anyhow, he feeds them his cannabis scraps for the endocannabinoids. So shout out to the more ganja as always. But go ahead about the Uncle John's and tell me a little bit about that, because a lot of these people, these newbie growers, there's like 6 or 11 of them on. I know that I talked to your nephew. Is it Sean?
Sean, right.
And he said that, you know, Cutting Edge has been around for 22 plus years or so.
Yes.
And a lot of old school growers, the ones that were hiring 14-year-olds or whatever and going to bury them, may know of the Cutting Edge, and a lot of commercial growers use them. But there's a whole generation of growers coming on, right? And especially these last few years when it came legal here, it was like a gold rush. And now, because of the market's change, it's kind of petered off. But I think it's real important. There's so many different lines out there. For me, I didn't, as a newbie grower going into a grow store and seeing all those different brands in the packaging, you don't know where to start. Lucky for me, I found Gordy and found Cutting Edge. And knowing that it's non-salt-based, mineral-based nutrients was appealing to me, because the organic growers, like the more ganja and that, they say things about those salt-based ones. I don't want to make mention of the names that start with an A, but they say save it for the pools, right? Save that stuff for the pools. I don't think that can be said so much with the Cutting Edge, because a lot of your products, several of them, like you say, your foliar sprays, are actually OMRI certified with the organics. But going back to the Uncle John's, tell me about that.
Right. So, you know, even our mineral base, they're food grade, you know, potassium nitrate. You know, you go to a Lions game, do not eat that many sausages, but it's the potassium nitrate that they put in sausages. So, you know, we use safe products. People that stir their fertilizer buckets with their hands, they say, "Wow, it's great that you put oil in your mineral base because my hands stopped cracking. Well, if you put your hands in salt water, you can get the same effect of cracking. But yeah, so Uncle John's blend. So this is the most important thing to know about growing cannabis or hemp. And this is probably one of the reasons why, Jeremy Plum chose Cutting Edge to make the fertilizer line, the custom fertilizer line for what he's doing. On his science board, he has Dr. Ethan Russo. And if you know who he is, he and his team discovered that we have endocannabinoid system in our body. So we have these centers in our body that are lock and key with certain terpenes that allow a flow of certain cannabinoids at a reasonable rate for our system. And by that, I mean, I don't know, you've probably smoked some really strong weed before and went into a panic state. And it had no terpenes. If you think back on it, when you were crushing it up, it had no smell, but it was really strong. Well, that smell, that essence is terpenes. So to me, terpenes are really key. And going, I guess, to the next girlfriend. I mean, there's a reason I did. I've been inspired by women. Okay, they have been the inspiration of my life.
A lot of men.
And this next woman, if she smoked this one purple variety that we grew, it was the lights are on at home, creative dinner, candles lit, trade massages all night. If she smoked anything else, it was the lights aren't on brightly, and I knew right away that I'd go in and she'd be laying on the floor saying, call 911 because she's having a panic attack. And I would feel her heart and her pulse, and it would scare me. So that was like the beginning of really trying to learn what terpenes were in like the early 90s. I was go after bag appeal at first, but then when I met her and I was with her, I realized there's something more to this, and it's connected to how the plant smells, and there's terpenes in a lot of things. In fact, here's an example: you're going to go to a show with friends, some concert. You're doing things at your house. You already had something to eat. They come by. They go, "Let's go out to dinner first." And you're like, no, I'll meet you there, and just give me my ticket. And they're like, no, you got to come with us. You got to come with us. And it's a restaurant you haven't been to before, and you're like, I don't even know if I want to go there. And you walk in the door. Immediately, your nose is hit with the smell of these cooking spices, and it could just be pizza, right? I mean, you've gone into a horrible pizza place, and it almost smells like cleaning fluid on the floor and cheese. But you walk into this place and, oregano, rosemary, thyme, all this stuff hits your nose and you're hungry. In fact, you're starving, and you start eating again, right? You feel great. Well, part of the reason you feel great are those terpenes that are entering your body and opening up centers that are, fire up your neuroprocessors with some complex compounds. But that's an effect of terpenes. So don't you want your weed to be like that?
Yes, indeed.
Mango should be mango. Skunk weed, you don't really see it anymore, but it should be heavy and myrcene and be really relaxing. I mean, we're talking the medicinal value of plants.
Right.
I mean, Dr. Russo was studying the medicinal value of plants. So I wanted to figure that out too, because I was doing a lot of soil testing at all these places that I worked over the years, a lot of tissue testing, all on my own dollar. And because people weren't interested in spending more money on things like that. But I was, because I wanted to find out what bag appeal was. Now I wanted to find out, why my girlfriend was, in the situation she was in just from smoking something different. And it was really the lack of terpenes in the other herb. It was being bred for higher THC content. So then I realized, wow, you can still hybridize higher THC content and more cannabinoids if you have, and this is the most important thing a fertilizer guy could possibly tell you, the right micronutrients to drive the genetic potential of the plant. Because you're growing flower. Yes, having a lot of nitrogen and different things and having a big green veg plant, wonderful. But you're growing flower and you're growing it for a medicinal purpose. So it's the ratio of iron to manganese to zinc with a little bit of boron over copper. And so Uncle John's blend is complex potassium. And I don't want to have the argument with people calling in and saying potassium is a metal because I'm a chemist, and then a biologist saying potassium is a non-metal. I call it a non-metal because I can't biochelate it. You can chelate metals, but you can't chelate non-metals. And chelation basically means, here's the element and here's the chelation. It's a claw. Chelate means claw-like, and it just surrounds the element and prevents it from locking up with another element, so the plant can get it first. So manganese. I talked about magnesium being important, right? And the petiole, the top being purple, and how you could foliar spray with our biochelated magnesium. But Uncle John's blend, the iron to manganese to zinc ratio is higher. And people say, well, it's already in other things you're doing. It's actually in our organic formula, but you can still elevate that too, because Uncle John's blend is actually organic. So we're getting that re-registered.
Yeah, that doesn't say it on the bottle, right? It doesn't have the omni on the Uncle John's. I was like looking at them all when I was taking pictures and trying to make sure I wouldn't get called out by the people that hate that brand with the A.
Yeah, so it's now we've dehydrated it, and you use 300 grams to a gallon, and you set the doser on 1 to 100 or 1%, or you make up a gallon and you use 10 mils of it, just like you would use regular Uncle John's blend.
Okay.
So, yeah, I've made it easier, but because I've done that, now it's easier to go to all the states to get organic certification because it's a different, they can see it as a different product. Oh. It's not, but we're not going to argue semantics or potassium here. Yeah, it's just like...
So a lot of companies don't use the say it again?
Manganese.
Yeah,
well, so
is that common with a lot of nutrient companies to use that or not use it? Is that why Uncle John's is used by people outside of the cutting edge line?
Well, they use manganese EDTA, right, which is actually a very long word, but its abbreviation is EDTA, and it's a chelator of metals. So you have that can chelate the iron, the manganese, and zinc. In our mineral line, we use DPTA and EDDHA, which are mild synthetics. EDTA is, we're the only country that has EDTA in food. Hellmann's mayonnaise managed to lobby to get preserved mayonnaise, and then everybody else went with it. It's in mayonnaise.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing, this EDTA?
Well, I don't eat mayonnaise.
Yeah.
So it's start right there of biased. But
right, okay.
But yeah, so EDTA, that gets into your system and it chelates other things. It doesn't break down. So when you have it, a large amount of it, like as far as iron goes, like iron EDTA, it doesn't break down in the plant. So you have to wash it out of the plant. So that's why people will do a water rinse through their soil the last 2 weeks. But when they do that, they lose a lot of the nutrition of the other micronutrients.
Right.
And now you've got a flower that isn't as good.
Right.
So we have manganese EDTA in our mineral formula, but there's only so much manganese. It works, but I needed to have Uncle John's blend because those are biochelated. So those are more plant available, and the plant can move them inside of itself different ways for different processes. And the reason manganese is so important, all plants will use it because it's an essential micronutrient. All plants will use it, and they will make an enzyme that acts like a catalyst that lets nitrogen flow into the plant, hit the tips, and go back into the plant. And so you can grow the plant quickly. But it also acts as a valving mechanism and restricts ammoniacal or the real active nitrogen so that you don't have nitrogen buildup during flower. But here's what's most important, being in Yakima, being here, sitting here now, is that manganese is the key micronutrient that makes two coenzymes that are the basis for the terpenes being built. So that's how you go from a lot of fertilizer lines are 1 to 2% terpenes. If you want to get to 5, 6, 7, and 8, depending on the variety, Uncle John's blend will drive that there. The plant has the genetic potential to make that, but you have to have enough manganese with a ratio of iron to zinc in the plant in order to push the terpenes. It also makes more terpenes, so you can get bumps out to 54 terpenes. Now, what do these bumps mean? Well, they're not even studied. I mean, we're like studying the first 3 or 4. Some people are as far as studying the 12 or even getting to 20, but there's a long way to go. And this is like on a high PhD science level that they're studying these. I mean, the way I study things is whether I'm going to go into this pizza place or not.
More simple.
Yeah, you want to keep it simple.
Right.
The people understand what they want. They just have to have the choice and the option to try it. And so some of these strains that are coming out, these hybrids, are opportunities for all these different terpenes to come out. But you get the breeders that a lot of different plant breeders use cutting edge because it's the consistency and quality, so they know how to pheno hunt through that. If it's not made exact and they don't have experience with it, they're guessing
at certain things for sure.
And we don't want to guess at terpenes. We want something that really smells different because it opens up cannabinoid centers in our body different. But when you have more terpenes, you generally have more cannabinoids, not just THC delta 9, but more cannabinoids. And when you use cutting edge, when you use Uncle John's blend, even with other lines, you find that there's more bumps. And what are they? I don't know. But back in the kitchen, the friggin' Sicilian chef has getting herbs from Italy, and he's rubbing them first and then dropping them in olive oil and hitting them with some heat and throwing it in the sauce. I mean, they're doing things back there to bring out flavor.
There's a difference.
There's a
opening
difference.
up a can of ragu. No doubt. That's
so
got
true.
basil and thyme and all that shit in it too, but not that way. So let me transition into your sour D and sugary. So let me clear this question up. So I've been using the louder powder. I can use the liquid Uncle John's with that, right?
Yeah.
Right. I can use the sugary and sour D's.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to be using the plant amp and mag amp when I'm having issues, right? Or I don't want to use the micro with in that stage because
Right.
micro is already in that. But if I run into, say, if I'm seeing a CalMag issue, right, the yellowing, right, is that yellowing on the edges of leaves, Gordy, right? So then I could foiler spray with one of those, with the mag amp or one of those, right? So mag amp is just magnesium. We have the CalMag. What do you guys call the CalMag? Is it just called Cal?
Yeah.
Amplified, that's right.
Oh, right.
So I see on the chart the plant amp. What is plant amp? Because I don't have that bottle. I would have added that too if I had that. I've been adding everything when I had problems. Now I won't.
No. The best. So, when you're in college and you're taking a biology class and it has a lab, you have to do these experiments and they take part of the semester. So when your girlfriend wants to
There we
go to the Bay Area and see a dead show, you have to, and your experiment's going, you have to, offer something to somebody else in order to run your experiment. Well, then she wants to stay a couple extra days and you're having a great time. So
of course you are.
You have to, say, yeah, hey, I was going to be gone just a day or two, but now I'm going to be gone 4. So they say, yeah, no problem. But what they really mean is they're going to get somebody else to cover for you. And, that might be a non-biology student or their friend or even their girlfriend. So I learned very quickly that these very complicated biological experiments required a very simple formula to be able to work. So I kept it very simple, but it could grow anything. And then these adjustments that I'm talking about, they were done for cannabis, of course. But the louder powder, the best thing to do, and I try to talk everybody into this, just using the louder powder. Everybody wants to add things and, it's working great. I'll add something else. Stop.
So it's just fine the way it is. I don't need to add Uncle John's.
You can.
Okay, because I want to.
The second time.
I wanted to make it the best I can make it.
But then how do you know?
I don't know anything.
Cousin, I'm telling you, people are buying the fertilizer from us, right? And I want them to get the results that they want. Maybe they'll just be happy with louder powder. I don't know. But if you start them off on just louder powder, they can do a crop. They can see how it works. They're satisfied. They know what the baseline is. Now add one thing. And so, when you ask me about Plant Amp, which is our biochelated calcium, just like our biochelated magnesium, people say, why don't you make a CalMag? And I said, how about this? When you're working on your car and you need a 14 millimeter and only a 14 millimeter really fits in there, do you want a 14 millimeter wrench or a vice grips?
Right.
Vice grips fit everything.
Sure they do.
But
Once.
Or they don't fit in there at all, right? And then you strip it,
Right.
trying to figure it out. So for me, I just, I wanted to separate the magnesium from the calcium. I came up with the calcium first because calcium is really one of the most important nutrients in plants.
That's what I'm finding out.
Yeah.
Right. But go on. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can foliar spray it and get everything you need. Calcium, iron, and manganese are the hardest things for plants to take up through their roots. So
boiler spraying is better then.
Yeah, so foliar spraying is better for the calcium, but I wanted to come out with the calcium, run that for a while, and then come out with the magnesium, because then I wanted to show people what magnesium does. I mean, this is the whole idea of additives. If you can just add something that's just one thing, that's one variable in a scientific experiment, right? So, and we're always experimenting. You don't have to say scientific experiment.
Right.
You can just say, I'm trying this out.
Right. Well, I've been experimenting. Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
I mean, with a lot of things over the years, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, having this podcast is really informative. I had no idea it was just not just being done on a single phone. I didn't realize it was a whole studio.
it lives on Instagram. Nobody will watch this again. It's too long. But on YouTube, they might come across it, especially if I put in the title, Uncle John from cutting edge solutions and people, are searching for it, then they might sit through half hour or 40 minutes or an hour to get or fast forward through some of this. But yeah, so that's why I wanted to transition all of what I've been doing. I call it a pseudo podcast because it's really not living in the ears like on Spotify and those different. I'm not taking the audio and repurposing it like onto a podcast. I'm getting ready to. This has all been test run, but I don't want to get getting sidetracked talking about what I'm doing. But so the last thing I wanted to just cover real quick in addition is your sugary and the sour D products that are to help bring out the terpenes and the sugars, right? They help with that as well.
Right. Well, you use
a little bit of the flavors.
Yeah. Well, the natural flavors in the plant. I mean, when you smell when you smell sugary. Have you smelled sugary?
I want to drink them every time I open. I had him on and Gordy, and yeah, I open them up. I'm doing my pseudo style growing with your stuff. So I did what Gordy said, and I do 50-50. I do because I don't know if the plant's going to be sweet or whatever. So I just do 50-50. I do 7.5 or whatever
of sour D
and sugary.
Yeah, that's a sweet and sour
right.
formula.
So that's what I've been doing because
Cool.
I don't want it because I'm a weirdo and I don't want the one bottle to be too empty than the other one. That's why I do it. I got OCD issues. There's my real reason, measuring shit. Anyhow, but yeah, I one's sweet, one's sour, and I like them both. I swear to God, if they could make a drink with vodka with that stuff, I'd be drinking it all the time again. Anyhow, sorry.
We had our April Fool's joke on Instagram that was the sugary in a can that we put one of the labels on a can of tea. And we advertised that it had like vodka in it and yerba mate.
Jesus, if you could
and
get
we
those.
had like thousands of people like, where do I buy your sugary drink? And we're like, literally, it's April Fool's, guys.
Right.
Like,
I swear to God, if you could get the energy drink that smelled like that, I'd be all over it. Yeah. Anyhow, but yeah, so I've been using that.
Just last month, we got a request from somebody in Michigan to ship when they ship the pallet of fertilizer to throw on a case of Sugar-E. That people still think that we're going to come out with this drink.
Oh,
and, I was at a harvest party in Humboldt, and this is years ago, but I go to this party, and we're all smoking, and somebody says, "Hey, you want a drink?" And I said, "Sure," and they handed me this drink, and I take a sip because I'm talking to somebody and smoking a joint at the same time. And then I said, I was like, what is this? It's got vodka in it. And then I looked over at the bar and they had Sugar-E and they were mixing it with vodka. And that was the drink that they gave me.
They were really?
Yeah. Yeah. And I said, so I walked over and I said, "What is this?" And he goes, it had some name for it, like Harvest Sugar-E something or other. And I was like, you're using Sugar-E in this drink. And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Well, we quality evaluate all our products. And if you walked into our labs or our building and you would think it was a winery because everything is stainless steel and the same transfer, diaphragm pumps that are used in the wine industry and the beer industry, and everything's really clean. But it has a childproof cap on it for a reason. Like all our products have childproof caps. Right. It costs a lot extra money a year, but I don't want kids just...
They would drink that if they smelt it. Like I used to drink cologne. I used to drink cologne. Well, not all the time. I was like, that smells good. Am I going to die?
He still smells good, by the way.
Thank you.
But yeah, they are actually drinking sugar.
But he told me I wouldn't die from it if I drank it.
You won't even get sick.
Right. So it's okay. We should make a drink out of it. Can't get it certified in California. But Michigan, there's no emission standards here in Michigan. They'll probably let it go. Anyhow, yeah, sorry I get sidetracked with that. But yeah, so it's been excellent. Well, So that's the idea with these sugary and sour Ds, is to bring out what in the plant? Let's just conclude that, just so.
Okay, so if you use sugary on a plant and you have a control plant and you don't use sugary, you'll see that more stalk glandular trichomes, or crystals if you want to call them, they start forming right at the top, and then they start working their way out on the leaves and then down on all the other flowers as you go down the plant. And it happens pretty quickly, to the point where you look at the control plant and it's barely happening. And so the kind of the experiment's over right away, because no one wants to waste a plant. But the reason for that is that, sugary, here's going back to the problem with labels, and they only allow you to put certain things on labels. You probably vote and you wonder what politicians are really talking about, because they only let them say so many things because their party controls them. And then there's regulations that control what they say, so you don't even know who they are. Well, you look at bottles and you look at the ingredients and you're like, okay, sugary is potassium sulfate. I can get potassium sulfate anywhere. But then you open up the sugary and you can smell blackberry, blueberry, and strawberry blossoms if you have a really good nose. And it's those blossoms vacuumed off, 17th century French extract process to keep it organic. And I was after the plant esters. But what it turns out is that some of the other flavonoids come with that push the natural terpenes of the plant to go sweet. The esters open up a signal pathway from the root to the shoot to the actual flower. So, you've got plant cells, you have root cells in the root that are like a triangle, like a sieve. And you can see there's a little bit of an opening. So plants make sugar, complex sugars, and they drip it out these drip emitters, these cells in the roots, to feed and stimulate a diverse microbial population that makes everything else available to the plant through an enzymatic process of breaking down minerals when the plant wants those minerals. So now you have these plant esters opening up a signal pathway, and the root cell opens up a little bit more, and with that is amino acids that are produced with the sugars, which complex the potassium sulfate and the phosphorus, because there's always leftover phosphorus, and then it is all pulled up to the plant, and that's what makes more of the crystals. But now there's studies out showing that that sulfur is key in making higher resin, because after you make the trichomes, you want to be able to boost terpenes with Uncle John's blend, and then you also, with sugary or sour D, want to elevate the resin levels to seal in the color and seal in the terpenes. So 6 to 8 months later, you could sell it and get a better price. And now I'm talking like I'm still back in,
curing that long,
1980s, right?
Yeah, that's a good cure.
That's how. Yeah, when you have enough resin on the flowers, it's easier to cure. People say, "Oh, the cure takes longer." Okay, it might take longer, but when your dehums kick on and stay on, it doesn't dry the plant out too quick, because ultimately the people that have mids are going to be not living in Midland, Michigan. They're going to be out of the picture.
Good one. Good one, Uncle John. He knows our state.
I'm learning. This week with Gordy has been an education.
Well, geez, I'll tell you what, that's let's wrap things up here, because I know Gordy's probably got plans for you. His ass is probably sore on the steps over there, but we got 15 minutes left here, and I want to open it up to a little bit of question. I want to smoke one. If you want to, you don't have to smoke. I know you smoke a lot. Oh, look at that.
Uncle John. We're gonna get an autograph from Uncle John.
Yeah, dude, lay that. Let me get my top-down camera going to make sure it's back on for him to sign. And yeah, so what I have here, if you wanted to smoke, is, well, this is just a little thing I get a big shout out to the Fresh Tag 419 out of New York, Uncle John. They find your cousin Nikolai on the gram and they send me like this whole like goodie bag, and this was what
Wow.
was in it, and I unzip it and I was like, what is this thing? And I'll just show you. I'll get my lighter here. I got the better lighter here. So it's got this button, and then you can do like, it's like party smoke. There you go, Uncle John. There's some of the organic Michael Fang. It's not good to smoke it like this, I don't think.
Wow.
It actually works. It's not that bad. Yeah.
It's strong.
Okay.
It's strong.
Yeah, I don't like smoking it like that. It's not a good way to sample it, but I did grow. This isn't in the cutting edge because I had to grow some organic, and I did grow this. It's the Michael Fang's Mona Lisa, and that's it too. You want to smell that? I shredded it up just to give you a whiff. It's got a little bit of terpene, but I did okay with this run. I did not too bad with it. It looked better on the vine, but yeah, you can't really smell much, especially after I just burned that smoke up in here. But anyhow, we can smoke that if you want. I just thought I'd give offering, but yeah. So you have a little. Here's my Mr. Pothead. I do have a Sharpie here somewhere. Stand by. I believe I do. I thought I did. Well, let me go get it. Stand by. Hold on. I'll give behind the scenes camera. That's camera one.
I get Amy's tease jobs today.
Oh yeah, you got Amy's tease jobs. Switch back to 3. Where's 3? Get back to 3. 1. It wants to work. Oh, the batteries must be going dead. We'll go to 1. There's 2. Yeah, that's it. 3. Top down. I'll get you a Sharpie. Stand by.
So what is the story behind this? It's people guess that it's some sort of Ford Bronco, but it's actually a 1978 Chevy 4-wheel drive with a load of weed in the back from Panther Gap, Southern Humboldt, 1981. So,
whoa, there we go. Yeah, guys, so what is the shirt? It's your blazer. Truck. It's a truck.
Okay, this is the way I look now, but you got to figure in 1981 I had hair down in my waist and my hat on backwards even then, and the back has been blacked out because there'd be an AK-47 and a shotgun and an AK-47, not an AR-15 in this case.
AK-47.
And when Kevin, our national sales manager and director, had a friend of his who does album covers and is an artist in Nashville. Kevin's in Nashville. He actually did this shirt, and I have to give him credit for that. I didn't even know he was going to do it, but there it is. And that was from an era when you harvested at night and drove very quickly up the dirt roads to where you were going to dry it. So
is that him?
No,
is that you?
That's me as I look now.
Yeah.
Or as the artist rendition made me look now. And but in 1981 I didn't look like that.
No, I hope not.
I would be a vampire.
Yeah, well, right. Yeah. All this, all the character, and it's all from age and years of good living. All right. Well, there you have it. Excellent. Another one from my collection here in the studio from the legend himself, the Uncle John from Cutting Edge Solutions, guys. That's right. Thank you, Uncle John. I appreciate that. Let me take some time here. Well, if you want to smoke, you can light that up. If not, don't worry about it. But let me open it up, see if there's any questions. There was quite a bit of people that were following. Here's a comment. It says, what's in Uncle John's blend that makes the trichome heads more greasy? I find when I use Uncle John's blend, the heads are more greasy than sandy, which is great for flour, but not so much for hash. Okay. Yeah, he said that. And we have a bunch. Yeah. There were some questions I thought here. It says Snow Terps had a question. Using the liquids, how do I use the entire cutting edge solution in an autopot system?
Call us.
I
Yeah.
answered that in the comments.
Did
already.
you? All right, good. Thanks, Gordy. Yeah. The best thing with the autopot system is go to their YouTube channel and start watching them all. Make sure you know what's suggested with them. And
Don't add an air stone.
yeah, not in the reservoir
Not in the
because they have
reservoir.
air domes that they suggest using air domes based on the different types of medium. So if it's a heavy like super soil or a cocoa with like the peat moss and it's a little bit to retain the moisture more, you're going to want these air domes, and depending on the size of pots. Anyhow, that's what they suggest. That's what I've been doing this time around. And don't mix full strength nutrients in the flower stage, is what I was told too, to dilute it a little bit more, because in the beginning the plants are feeding more and drinking more, and it's a wicking system, and everything builds up in it. And I had some nutrient burn the last time. Figuring it out. Anyhow, I think I'm doing okay this time. I'm going to show the Uncle John the plants in the dark. He won't get to see all the burning I did. Anyhow, I want to show him the operations. All right, so if you guys have any questions, shout out. I hope you enjoyed today's thing.
Gordy, did you answer that one question about the greasy heads of the trichomes not making good hash?
No, that one came in when you guys were talking about it.
Yeah, so he says, what I find when I use UGAB, Uncle John's blend, the heads are more greasy than sandy, which is great for flour, but not so much for hash. What do they mean sandy?
So a lot of Afghan genetics. I was going to say, sorry. A lot of Afghan genetics have a larger trichome head that doesn't produce as much resin. And if you're in a screening process, let's say like you're making a traditional keef before you press it into rosin or something, that dryness and sandiness of it allows it to pass through that fibrous membrane, the filter, to separate the gland heads, the stalk, and then the piece of the plant that peels off.
Okay. Interesting.
So in order to answer that question, we'd have to know the genetics. We'd have to know what other fertilizer line is being used, or if it's ours, and whether or not Sugar E was being used. Because you take exotic genetics grease monkey, which is pretty popular on the West Coast for a time, and then it got bred into a lot of other things because people realized that greasiness in flour prevented a lot of downy mildew and powdery mildew, especially along the coast in Humboldt and Mendocino. So, that you wouldn't use that to make hash.
It makes a difference, all these different strains. I'm getting hip to it all. Michael Fang came over and he was looking at my plants last year, and he was like, yeah, those would be good washers, but I wouldn't try to dry them in flour. And after seeing his genetics, I now know why he said that. He's so nice, the way he put it too.
And he's a great breeder, and he's got, he did things specifically how he wanted to do them. That's an artist.
Yeah.
So, for people that are in it to win it out there, to be their own plant breeders and try to find something that they really like, when you end up with something you really like, 10,000 other people in this country are going to want it. And good luck trying to grow, half a pound for each one of those. I mean, you have to really scale up to be able to grow 5,000 pounds or so.
Yeah.
So
you guys are used to dealing with large scale operations. I appreciate you coming around and messing around with a newbie grower here and that. Anyhow, we got 6 minutes, guys. Last chance to get it in here. Any questions? I'll wait for you. I appreciate everybody. Sorry I didn't wave to everybody. Sorry I didn't comment. I saw you, but here, before I forget, this is my Mr. Pothead Goes Green I got for Christmas for myself. And this for you. Don't worry about it. It's just a little bit of rubber cement type stuff.
But I was hoping it was resin.
I got some for you. But this right here, Uncle John, is your cousin Nikolai's Pre-Packs American Glass Chillum. They come to me at the Organic Cup in Queens, New York, and they say, hey, we made these for you, cousin. want you to help promote them. But yeah, it's got some of my flower in there. You can if you're not following me on Instagram, I don't know if you're on Instagram, but you could even scan the QR code and it takes you right to my Instagram page. But that's for you, for your
Wow,
travels
thank
here.
you.
It's got the half gram of some smoke in it. You pop the cap, you're right. You pop the cap and puff, puff, pass or no pass if you
Wow,
want.
I love it.
There you go. It's for
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
You're welcome, cousin. Very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you for showing up here.
Yeah.
That's right. Anyhow, well, I think we'll wrap it up here. I'll leave you with some of my friends' band. It's the Rockstead Band. They're out of Cincinnati, Ohio, guys. And yeah, give them a like and a follow on the gram. They let me use their music for the show. And I want to thank the good guy, Gordy Johncock. There he is, over there, right there, guys, for bringing the legend, Uncle John himself, here to Disco, Michigan in the studio, guys. It's been great. All right, I did it. I put it all together. You called me at like 9 o'clock last night. I was taking bong hits and getting ready to, never mind, I won't tell you what it's going to do to myself. But yeah, and I put everything together and yeah, I made it happen. And you're in a treat. So if you got 5 more minutes, Uncle John, I'm going to take you to the makeshift portrait studio in the garage and take a portrait of you, if that's cool.
He's a fast painter.
That's right. Well, I'm only going to paint it. I'm going to snap picture, digital style. And then we'll put it in Photoshop and make you look like one of those hot chicks you used to date.
That would be weird.
That would be. Anyhow. All right.
Now I don't want to know what you were going to do last night with yourself.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, sorry. I was wearing my pineapple shirt and hanging out with all the swingers at that bar. And anyway, just kidding. Just kidding. I make fun for myself. Anyhow,
tell us that on the 9 o'clock phone call. We would have been there.
Yeah, well, I'm going to start a Sundays at 10 p.m. Live stream, and it will be like after dark with cousin Nikolai. We'll talk about that sort of stuff.
Thank you, cousin Nikolai.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, here's the music, and we'll say bye for now. Okay. Bye for now. All right. All right, Uncle John. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it was fun.